Hello and welcome back to I Was Thinking. I'm Nafis.
And I'm Simone.
And we are here to discuss basically a very important current event that has affected basically everybody in the world, but more so the people of Palestine. So we are here to talk about the Israeli and Palestinian conflict.
The Palestinian genocide that is currently happening. Nafis isn't trying to get too political. I'll do that. I really don't care at this point because...
Yeah. That's why we're here.
We are also recording this just to let you know on October 22nd, which is a Sunday. I just need to say the date because as this continues on, while it's still happening, things can update and change. So this is just what we're talking about today on Sunday, October 22nd of 2023.
Yeah.
I just need to say that so we don't spread past information or misinformation. Well, mostly past.
Correct. We don't typically do these kind of episodes where we get too political, but I felt like this was an important event to talk about because not only does it affect a group of people who are basically being eradicated as we speak, but it also affects the world in a larger global scale. So we do definitely want to share our thoughts and opinions and maybe some resources for those of you who would like to help out and whatnot. But before we get started with that, Simone, how are you doing? Not good. She's shaking her head.
Again, it's not that I'm afraid to talk about this. I'm just trying to watch what I say, especially living in a country that has tricked us in thinking we have free speech when we really don't. As I'm trying to do my due diligence and spread information on TikTok, I have noticed some of my videos, have been getting taken down, especially depending on what they say.
Yeah.
Even if you're not talking about what's happening, if you are just saying anything critical about the administration, your social media accounts, at least on TikTok, are being flagged and warned of being taken down. I don't know how it is on Instagram because even Instagram, they had to come out with an apology because when people were putting free Palestine, and I forgot the exact word or phrase they were saying in Arabic, but when you had translated that word with in Arabic, when it's next to Palestine, it was translating it to terrorist, even though the phrase is may God protect their souls or something like that. So yeah, they had to come out and be oh, we're sorry, we were translating, because a guy showed a TikTok video of that who works in tech, and because he was showing the Arabic phrase, if you didn't put the word Palestine next to it, and it would translate to what the phrase actually means. So yeah, that's why I said I'm trying to be careful. And they put out an apology. What was it, Friday or Thursday? It was sometime before this weekend or this weekend. I don't go on Facebook. I have no hope for Facebook because Facebook is the ones that live back, in those times. Well, they are still watching the news and believe everything that's happening on the news. So I have no hope for Facebook. Even when I go on my Facebook, I haven't seen any type of talk from people that I used to go to high school with or even family talk about this. So I have no hope for Facebook, but I'm just talking about Instagram, TikTok, Twitter is somewhat okay, but they still have that control the algorithm of suppressing content. I know we're doing this on a podcast platform, but again, I just don't know. So that's why I'm trying to watch what I say, but just understand if you can't hear in my voice, I am angry. And again, it's because when everyone's trying to tell us not to compare this to what happens to Black Americans, it's like that. Okay, this is still a form of oppression that's happening. This is a form of genocide that we have not only 1% scratched on what's happened in this country or just in this world. I'll say more later because right now I'm kind of just rambling. I'm just trying to make sure I get my thoughts across. I'm trying to make sure I don't get too emotional, and I'm trying to make sure I don't cry because this isn't about me. This is not about me, but we are trying, and I want to get better. Okay, I'm tired of living in the dark. So this has also just opened my eyes. I always didn't trust this government in general because, again, Black person living in this country, I've just been learning a lot, and it's just,
it's been a lot.
Yeah. Nafis, start talking because I need to take a break to regather my thoughts.
No, I was actually just thinking as you were speaking, because you know how you texted me last week asking if I was okay to, like, if we wanted to record. I think last week was probably one of the darkest I've been, like, in my mind since Black Lives Matters has happened. And it was not a pretty place, because if we had recorded this last week, our conversation would have been completely different. I would have been a mess. I would have been crying. Like, there would have been no self-control as far as, like, the information getting out. So I'm glad I gave myself at least a little bit of time, or like a week or so, to bear my thought. But yeah, going back to the social media, I think the main reason why we've been successful in getting, like, both sides, more so like the Palestinian side, across, is because of social media. So as oppressive as social media has become, I'm really glad it exists, because if it did not exist, we would have had to, like, rely on CNN, Fox News, what is it, CBS, like Good Morning America, all these other places, which are basically,
MSNBC, yeah.
yes, MSNBC, like all these places where are just saying the same thing, regurgitating the same message over and over and over again. And so I'm really, really, really grateful that social media exists, as chummy as it may be.
Because,
you
like,
know,
what you just said with the Black Lives Matter movement, honestly, because, like, if it wasn't for COVID, I'm just going to say it, I don't know if we really would have resurfaced the Black Lives Matter movement, because I don't think most people know it really started, like, that movement itself in 2014 because of Mike Brown, I believe, in Ferguson, when things were happening down there. But even if we did get the recording that we did of George Floyd being murdered, I just don't know if it would have went anywhere if we all weren't stuck in the house like that. I'm just going to be honest.
I agree. Yeah.
Because, and I had said this in a TikTok video, which is my last, like, video I've made in a while. I've just been trying to focus on, like, reposting as many people who, again, are more intelligent on the situation that I am, and sharing resources and, like, places to educate. Even in 2020, I compared that to, I was talking about something else, but I had compared the situation to Breonna Taylor, because look at the way we were able to see how George Floyd was killed in real time compared to Breonna Taylor, because she was killed back in March of 2020. Even though we didn't see it happen, we got confirmation that it did happen, and the actions. I actually just saw something on Twitter yesterday that the cop that did end up, shooting her acquitted. He's a sheriff in a different town, but then I guess he, like, rammed into some different car and started threatening people that witnessed the car accident. But that's beside the point. That's a free man. But look how we treated when we learned what happened to her on TikTok. I remember seeing those videos get on Twitter. Like, we had turned her awareness into memes. There was a song that was viral on TikTok for the longest time, where, like, people would do something quirky, then all of a sudden it would get serious and be like, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. And I had brought it up because I was talking about K-pop, and then, like, how it still fills me with rage when that one K-pop group, I did the research, so I found out the group, their name is Victon. I don't know if they're still together or not, but they had made a dance practice to that sound and then only deleted it when they got called out. Separate issue of what I have with K-pop that I've talked about before. But still, when you compare both in 2020, what happened with George Floyd and what happened with Breonna Taylor, it's just like, if the Palestinian people weren't showing as much as they were because of social media, we would still be in the dark, as we have been in the dark for the past 75 years.
Pretty much. Yeah. But that's what I was saying. I'm so glad social media exists, because...
Which is why they're getting people at the top like Elon Musk, so we can stop, sharing this stuff.
Please do not talk about that man. Like, I don't understand him. I do not understand him.
No one does, and we won't.
But yeah, like I was saying, social media, so glad it exists. But at the same time, though, one of the other reasons why I'm really glad that it exists is because you get to see the curtain drop, basically, the mask come off. Because you know how, like you were saying earlier, oh, Americans, freedom of speech. No, you literally are getting shadow banned if you're sharing a certain type of information, or you're getting blocked, or your account is getting deleted. Again, if you're saying too much. And then people, to be fair, maybe they're giving them warnings. Oh, you're breaching our guidelines.
I got so many of those from TikTok be like, this video breached the community guidelines. I'm like, what guidelines? And this isn't even my video.
Right. And so it's just like you see this. I'm like still in awe. I'm still shocked, honestly. Like, cannot find my words right now, but I'm like, I feel like I'm having an outer body experience with this whole situation. It's like, are we really being silenced right now? Are we really like experiencing like oppression in a way? But this is freedom of speech, but not to the degree of Palestinian people. Definitely not. But
Now,
I'm
let
just
me tell
saying.
you something before you continue. I'm sorry I keep cutting you off, but that's why I said I need time to think before I say something. Let me just tell you something I've realized over everything that's been happening. You know how I always say change happens slowly?
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to realize change has never actually happened. We just implicate little things that we think is really change, which it is, but it's not like change on a broader scale. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like it's like certain things only change, or they'll implicate certain things to make us be quiet, to go on about our day so they can keep doing what they've been doing for the long time. Like, we only see the little things.
Mm-hmm.
Once they realize people are upset about it, they'll fix it, but then like the whole system doesn't actually get changed. I think this is showing how the whole system actually just needs to be changed. It was never changed since the beginning, but like now we're actually getting tired. And another thing too, it is a form of oppression, because look at all the people that are saying, like, basically for the ones who are being like neutral, because a lot of them are saying like, this is too much for like my own mental health. I'm dealing with my own problems. And it's like, that's the point. The point of them is to keep us down, like making sure we are worried about if we're going to be able to eat like the next day. Mm-hmm. Honestly, just our food in general, because I feel like our food quality has been going down and they're just adding so much chemicals into it. Making sure we have enough money for rent, being worried about like our medication and then like the insurance and health companies, which, by the way, speaking of medication, people in America, just look out just in case you go to CVS or Walgreens, because I have been also hearing the farm technicians may go on strike on November 1st. Don't know. I'm just putting it out there. So
honestly, yes, good to them, because they are overworked like crazy people.
And I've been hearing that, especially from ex-workers that have been coming online and saying like how the conditions truly are there. But it's just like that. Like, they keep us so depressed in our own situation, so we don't pay attention to what they're doing to other places. Or
not even that. You pay attention, but you just don't have the energy to care enough. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Again, whether people want to realize it or not, we are still going through our own oppression. And then it's like, it also goes into like that. I've been trying to learn better about like intersectionality, but it goes into like the intersectionality of the people that are being suppressed. An example of that is like, I was trying to do research when the whole like Namjoon thing happened, which also goes into what you were saying, how you try to be quiet. Because I remember you did ask me, you know, to take that out, even though I'm glad you did it, because it's been getting a lot of views on our YouTube, surprisingly, and people have been liking it. So like, that's why I told you, like, Nafis, I know you're worried about the backlash, but like, your voice does matter, even though people try to tell you it doesn't. So like,
I know, like, the funny thing is, like, I was just thinking about that, like, that situation is so tiny compared to like what I actually wanted to discuss today in like this episode.
Because that's why I always keep texting you if you're okay, because as we keep seeing, like, even it's not just the Palestinian people, it's like people who are Muslim or Palestinian or Muslim at the moment are also being attacked again. Like, we're back in 2003. Like, I was way too young to understand what happened with 9/11 and the war after that. And it's like I'm seeing a repeat of 2003 and 2023.
Yeah.
I know we always say history repeats itself, but to see history repeat itself in only a short span of 20 years, that should be alarming. That's why I keep saying there's no change that actually happened. It's just big events happen. We'll change something a little bit to where we're quiet again until another uproar happens. Like, we can't keep riding this roller coaster. If we don't want this to keep happening, we need to actually make true change. And that's what they're trying to make us stop. They're trying to make sure we're not aware of that.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's just hard.
I know. When did you first hear about this? Like, this whole situation?
So it's funny you asked me that, because, so, I mean, honestly, everything when the whole, you know, festival thing happened. But I had a friend back in college And I hope she's doing okay. I know I follow her on Instagram. I don't remember if she's actually is Palestinian or like half Palestinian, but there was one night that we went out together. And the reason we like all stopped hanging out was because of COVID. We had to move back home. I feel like we went to a place to watch karaoke, and she was telling me and my other friend, I'm not trying to give out names, but she had brought up Palestine. Yeah, I know. She had brought up Palestine. And we were, I think, in an Uber. So I was sitting up front, so I couldn't really understand what she was talking about. But she was talking about a little bit. But again, I feel like I've said this before in like lighter situations. I'm the type of person where sometimes I'll hear stuff and then I kind of forget about it and go on about my day. I question every day. I learned this little term like neurospicy for like neurodivergence. If I'm somewhat like that, I feel like I am. But that's the first time I've ever heard about like Palestinians. But I don't remember what she'd actually talked about. So like all that's kind of being brought back up now that I'm hearing all this. Because I have heard of Israel before, but like I never heard of Palestinians. And like every time I heard about Israel was because I had heavily Christian family on one side of my family who I don't talk to anymore. So if you've been listening to us a while, you know which family member that is or that side of the family. Because, you know, Jerusalem and all that. But I just did not understand really what was happening over there. Because it's like even with here, it just makes me sad that I don't know enough. That also comes to my struggle of just being such a sheltered child and trying to break out of that. But then even with 2020, when Black Lives Matter was happening, I still can't explain the feeling of how I feel of just not knowing this stuff where I feel like we should know it. Like, I can't believe it took me until 2020 to really realize, again, only knowing 0.01% how bad slavery was. Like knowing they used to take our hair and stuff it into furniture. Like that's sickening. There was videos coming out on Twitter back in 2020 where someone who was Black had this really, really old antique chair. And when they actually opened up the cushion for the seat, they were taking out the stuffing and they realized the stuffing wasn't cotton. It was actually Black people's hair.
Oh, wow.
So when they said they used to use every part of a slave's body, they literally meant every part. And then you'll alwa't hear how Washington's teeth used to be slave teeth. You would literally hear they would used to eat us. You would hear how because we live in Florida, where the term gator bait came from. It's just like, again, guys, I'm sorry I'm all over the place. There's so much information coming out in the past 3 years. And it's just like, I don't want to be misinformed like this anymore. I also recognize I am one person, but like, I am tired of being quiet. I just hope this Palestine thing that's happening can move us in the right direction to make changes, not only for them, but in this country and just other parts in the world. Because even with the Palestine conflict, I'm learning that Sudan, apparently they've been at some type of war for 6 months this year. I saw a video on TikTok of a Guatemalan woman, because I guess they're also going through their own oppression, be in support of Palestine because she can relate to what they're going through now. Hawaii, you can bring it back to Hawaii and the fire that happened, and the Hawaiian people have been begging us for years to stop going to Hawaii because they are oppressed. And honestly, I'm afraid what's happening with Palestine may happen to them, where the part of the land is just going to start turning into like a place for like vacationing and hotels and amusement parks, but it's all built on a lost people.
Yeah.
Because there's a lake in Georgia that people keep drowning at, Lake Lanier.
Yeah, a whole town has been drowned.
A man-made lake that they've drowned Black people.
I recently learned about that, actually. One of my kids told me about it. They're like, "Have you heard of Lake Lanier?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Oh, you should look up the history of that." And so I didn't, and I just looked at them. I'm like, "What?"
That's where that actress Naya Rivera died, but many other people as well. And like even with here, when we talk about like that stuff didn't happen here, people in Tulsa still never got the reparation they deserved for the bombing that happened to them, the massacre that happened to them. I'm pretty sure the last survivor who was still in court just died recently, and she was like 100 and something.
So basically the point here is that
I'm sorry, I know I'm going off topic.
we have experience with this for a very long time, at least in this country. But yeah,
that's just what I mean by this is like, it's just opened my eyes to so much. And like, I don't know what to feel, but again, it's just not about me. But again, the ways that they're trying so hard to suppress us from talking about it because they don't want it to change. And even if I'm just going to say, for the people who are either still neutral, just do not care. Y'all should be mad that they are taking money that could fix the problems in this country and shipping it over in support of Israel.
Actually, can I pause you for a second?
$100 billion.
Let me pause you for a second.
Go ahead.
Or basically just add on to that.
That's fine.
Oh my goodness. Let's start from when they had their cute little meeting. Let's start with that, right? And we were the only ones to veto a ceasefire. And then
second time though, because the first time before we veto it because we didn't talk about like condemning Hamas or something. We weren't the only ones. It was us, it was Japan, it was the UK, and it was Germany. So like the OG colonizers. And then when they bombed the hospital is when we are still the only country to veto it. But again, that's the thing. Not only are we the only country, why are we the only country that veto it and every other country is improved? Yeah, because we are the only country that veto it, nothing's happening. Like, why does America have so much power to where our one say yes or no controls what is happening? That's still a problem.
That is crazy. But no, the point I was trying to make was like, not only did we veto that, it's like, okay, but then you go on the news and you hear like, okay, now we're here trying to support the Ukraine war. And now this 100 billion, like you said, there are so many veterans, not even like normal people, like casual civilians, veterans, people that have fought for this country out there on the streets begging for money just so they can have a hot meal. Like what? Like, I don't understand the logic of it. I don't see the long-term game plan. Obviously, I'm not into politics for that very reason.
I really need to start.
But I do know enough to know that, like, if there are people who are willing to fight in your army, the least you can do is take care of them, you know? Have some sort of incentive program, whatever, so that whenever they do leave and they come back with the PTSD from war, from wherever it is that they've been deployed to, they can at least survive somewhat a civilian life. You know?
I don't know, because there's also just things coming out, especially from the war back then of like 2003 to 5 and on, of like why we never really heard soldiers that come back really talk about it. And there's some legal reasons of why they are not really allowed to talk about it either. Again, it's just a lot of stuff
they may not talk about it, but the PTSD is still there, is what I'm saying.
Right, I'm saying there's reasons why they can't talk about it, though, besides the PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever wonder why we never really heard a lot of soldiers that when they brought them back home talk about what happened? That should tell you something right there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I don't know, but being like, as a Muslim, though, like growing up, we've always been taught to be like very careful with what we say and what we speak and what we see and like how engaged we are. So like, I get.
You mentioned that when we talked about turning red. I remember that.
Yeah. And like, it's so weird. Like, it didn't take me. You know, when I realized it when we were doing a workshop for school to better help, like to help teachers understand their students better, like of like where they're coming from and all that. And then like, I don't know, it like just sprung in my head like, whoa, the reason why I don't say or I'm not vocal about certain things when I should be is because of that post 9/11 childhood that I had. And so, but like now I'm kind of like growing out of it. So like, good for me. But like, I mean, I would not be talking about this if I was still in that mentality.
Like I said, it goes into my own being sheltered as a child. Not only that, because I grew up in a majority white spaces, especially not only as the only Black girl, but the only really dark-skinned Black girl in my area for majority. And so my parents really did try to like assimilate me in my spaces, and then would kind of shun me if I ever questioned anything, or like I do have a lot of identity issues because of that I'm still trying to work on. But it's like, I'm glad for myself that I grew out of that. Not only just talking about this, but just like other things. And it's like, we have to realize that does more damage to us than good. Just try what you guys can to stay informed if you really do care. Another point of this episode is we're going to try to link as many resources that we can. I'm going to try to put as many like other Instagram ads that I got from a TikTok that I took a screenshot, who actually are over there on the ground giving like updated news as much as they can before their pages get taken down. I am also reposting, so I always post my TikTok. I'm like proud of the people that I follow who are also, you know, like fan pages, how they've just stopped completely because they also don't feel right of just like trying to go out about their day and just continue posting like BTS. Like even for me, like I'm kept keeping up with the content, but like I just cannot allow myself to try to disengage, because again, that's what they want us to do. Yeah. We cannot keep letting that happen if we want some type of change that we always scream about to happen. Not even just over there, but just everywhere at this point, just everywhere. And I say that because like, I know, again, we have our own problems, but America really is involved in a lot of ways other countries are shaped and formed, whether you want to pretend we're not involved or not. Like we really are. That's what I've been learning.
Mm-hmm. And I like basically just piggybacking off of what Simone said. Please, please, please educate yourself. Keep an open mind. Just know that like we don't really represent what our government is doing. There are people on the other side don't represent probably what their country is doing. And more importantly,
like with the Israelis, don't blame all the citizens, well, some of them, because some of them are being out their ass and like actually making social media accounts and like just horrendous stuff. But not everyone is their government. Okay.
Exactly. And more importantly, just please keep talking about it. The people of Palestine haven't really asked for money, haven't asked for anything. They just want you to continue talking about it. So please continue doing so.
And not to forget them as a people, because that's another sad thing. Like, I know some people I was saying like, it's just sad how a lot of us don't even know any of their names. We're just reducing them down to numbers and statistics because of the genocide that's happening. Like they're losing their life so rapidly.
That's actually, oh my gosh, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's so funny, because whenever people from the other side were afflicted, we knew their names, right? We knew their ages. We basically had a whole profile. But with them, like you said, they're just a number. They're just a statistic. And so like, that's one of the things that I really, really appreciate about social media, is because you're actually able to put a face to that number. And Simone, let me tell you, I've never seen so many like dead bodies in a post. I've never seen so many like limbs. I've never seen so much bombing. I've never seen so many scared children in like a span of minutes.
It's insane to me, because I was telling you about the tweet that whoever's running the Israeli social media, especially on Twitter, like the fact that they're tweeting like a stan K-pop 13-year-old Twitter account just enrages me so much. But it's just like, it's just so coded racial language for them to say this is a fight between children of the light and children of the dark. That also applies like colorism, like because they look like this, you shouldn't feel bad for them. You should only be lifting up the ones that have like porcelain white skin, or just like this part of a race, whatever. I can't even say it's part of the dehumanization, calling them animals. It is dehumanization, but you can't even compare them to animals anymore, because we know, especially here in the country, white people treat animals a lot better than they treat us, their pets.
Animals. I'm glad you brought that up, because there have been so many, like, I don't think people understand when it's war on everything. It's a war on the environment. It's war on people. It's a war on animals. I have never seen so many scared cats and dogs and things like that. And like the reason why, kudos to the Palestinian people, despite of what they've been going through, they still take the time to pull out like stray cats and dogs from the rubble and take care of them and feed them, give them water. So it's like everything and everyone is affected. And like, I'm not a dog person, I'm not a cat person, but like to see animals scared to like even move their paw is just so sad. It's just so sad, you know?
Even with the infrastructure you said, and like, if the reason the US is backing them up, not only again for like imperialism and all that, like for land and resources. You're destroying the land and resources by
Exactly.
bombing these places. If you're trying to get the resources like oil, didn't we just say, didn't we go through a whole thing last year of how oil is not a sustainable long-term resource when you're already killing the earth? So not only are we killing a group of people, we're still continuing to kill the planet. Again, there's so much things that goes into it.
Oil is not going to sustain us. By 2050, we need to come up with an alternative resource to survive, or else that's it.
Last year, there was also videos going around of scientists being arrested saying if we didn't do something last year, the damage we did was already reversible. Obviously, like I said, they were arrested. Those pleas have been ignored. So it's like the damage is already done in that sense.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah. So it's very interesting, the whole, how it's very interesting how this conflict basically blew out to the point where we have people lying in our faces. I mean, I'm just going to say it as it is. We have people lying in our faces. And I think the most upsetting part of this whole entire situation is not just the bombings and things like that. Is that we have so much misinformation being spread around to the point where we have our leaders coming on camera saying this, and this happened, and then retracting that via a tweet or a post. Excuse me?
And not going on actual national news where the majority of the country still get their information and fixing it.
And here's the thing. While they were busy retracting and doing whatever, the damage has already been done. People heard the information. If this is all that's blasting in your face 24/7, you are going to form an opinion about said people.
Because how are we all so loud about the thought of Hamas beheading 40 babies, yet when they bombed a hospital where there are disabled people, pregnant people, also children, women, men, doctors, it's quiet.
Over a third of Palestine is children and people under 30. Actually, people under 30 is probably more like 50%. Yeah. So, and by the way, that information about beheading babies was not even confirmed by Israel themselves. So the fact that
they went back, like you said, with the going on social media to retract it. I think Biden only retracted the statement was false after on social media.
That's what I'm saying. But the damage has been done. So why are you out here trying to spread information? And then people are not going to just sit down and just take it as it is. There are people who are going to say something about it.
Because even that, they're trying to say Hamas bombed their own hospital. What?
Yeah, some of it doesn't make sense. But my point is, people who are not open-minded, not willing to learn about a conflict, not willing to learn about both sides. And if you're honestly, if you're just seeing one side of a situation, that's basically the side you're going to go for, whether we like it or not. That is the truth of the matter. If you're not somebody that's normally afflicted, if you're not somebody that's normally oppressed, if you're not someone that normally goes through life with basically eyes on the back of your head, you know what I'm saying, right? If you're not that type of person, you're not going to begin to think, maybe I should look at this other side. No, you're going to believe what you see on the TV, which unfortunately led to a killing of a 6-year-old boy in Chicago. And that was immediately after, a day or two after, they came on and said, I saw with my own eyes, babies being beheaded and stuff.
And that's so sad because that was someone he knew. That was his landlord. Apparently that was someone who used to play with him.
Yeah. So it's this is the damage that misinformation does. It's you build this narrative, you build this profile about a certain group of people, and then you come back and say, oh, I was wrong. Sorry. And the lady who also spoke, I forgot her name, but she was also a news anchor. She had spoke about something, and she's like, oh yeah, I was ill-informed, blah, 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 and I'm sorry. Why are you adding that you're sorry at the end? If you are truly sorry, see, I'm starting over my words at this point.
We both probably are, because we're, again, trying to contain emotions, just trying to speak and...
Right? So it's this selective sympathy, I guess, is what gets my blood boiling. Like I've told you, since the beginning, I'm viewing this as a humanitarian crisis.
I mean, that's what it needs to be viewed as.
Because that is what it is. It's not about religion. We've seen that since we had a Christian hospital being blown to bits.
And where are all the Christians talking about that also? Because y'all were so quick to blame it on like a Muslim and Jewish conflict.
I don't think people realize that there are Christian Palestinians too.
There are Christian Palestinians, there are Jewish Palestinians, and there are Muslim Palestinians. At the end of the day, y'all don't really care about the religion. You just care about the type of people that they're in and their skin tone and whatever other racist bullshit you were fed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So yeah, the misinformation bit is just really, and the thing is, like, my friend lives in that area, and so when I posted that bit about the child being murdered after, because I had just posted a post on Instagram saying, like, guys, it's very important, please educate yourself or else it's going to lead to dire consequences. And then that happened, right? And so, like, she texted me, she's like, yeah, this happened in our community, and I've been to, like, I visited her a few times, and so, like, I know that place that she lives in. It's like it was in her neighborhood basically. So can you just imagine? And it's like upsetting because the narrative that was also being spread around is that people of the Jewish faith should not wear their religious ornaments because of the anti-Semitism. But the first attack that happened was on a 6-year-old boy who happened to be Muslim.
It's crazy because also with that, I was out and about the first weekend it really happened. And I guess there's a Jewish, like, I don't know what the place they all gather is called because, you know, like what is it called? Do you know what synagogue? It's called? Okay, yes. I had passed by it and I saw these police officers and I'm like, what are they doing there? And then when I saw that, I was like they're protecting the synagogue because there was also information being spread when it first happened, like warning Jewish people to be, again, only white Jewish people, because this was my frustration with the minuscule other thing that we talked about with the song situation. Mm-hmm. When it comes to religion, there's only one race within the religion, again, intersectionality that's being talked about when we're ignoring the other people that are part of that religion. Like we just said earlier, the Palestinian Jewish people, there are Black people that are Jewish. Like there are other people from other like races and ethnicities that practice this religion, but they are also not being talked about as being protected. It is only the white ones. But as I'm saying, it's like I passed by that and I saw that. But there is also, I didn't know there was like a Muslim like cemetery near where I live. And I think there's other, and I think there's other places too. Like what is the place where you guys go? I don't want to be like
mosque.
Okay, yes, around my area. Where are the police to protect those places? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like selective. I don't even know the word for
selective sympathy, selective protection, selective anything that matters, really.
And it really just goes into the whole white supremacy of it. I'm going to say it as it is because that's what we are seeing. So until we truly eradicate those two things, it's just that really what needs to happen if we want to see true change. Though.
It's been so embedded in our cultural
not only just it's culture,
fabric,
society.
In our societal fabric, it's been so embedded, Simone. It's not going away anytime soon, unfortunately.
I just don't want to say that because, like, if you hear me for a while, I am one of the people that's like always
optimistic.
Giving doubt. I'm nowhere near optimistic. Pessimistic. I want to be more optimistic and like believe there is some type of hope there. And it's hard for me. It's always been hard for me. I'm trying because if I don't have that, then I'm just afraid. Like, I just don't want the Palestinian people to be gone. Not even just them, for just other people that we don't even know about in this world being erased because it's already happened before.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I was watching an interview. You know Piers Morgan, right?
Unfortunately.
So he was interviewing someone, I forgot his name. I think it's like Bassam something, but like I'll let you know later. But anyway, I really enjoyed that interview. But one of the things Mr. Bassam was saying that, like, I guess he was talking about like colonial entities in general. They're like, he's talking about the colonism portion of it. Mm-hmm. So he's like, you suppress a people, you obliterate a people until you have very little left, and then you start feeling bad for them, and then you leave them alone.
Because literally what happened to Native Americans here.
Yeah, so he brought that up. He's like, you did that with the Native Americans, you did that with like all the other places and other countries. And he's like, this is what's happening here too. It's like you're going to go after them until there's very few of them left. And then you're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And then you just walk back a few steps and say, oops, sorry, and then just keep it moving. To summarize, paraphrase, that's not exactly what he said.
Yes, I know it. Yeah, it's fine though. Yeah, because I really need people to stop calling this a war. That's why we keep bringing up a genocide, because they're not even attacking Gaza anymore at this point. Like I said, for now, and I'm sure things will change, but like we're getting reports now that they're attacking Palestinians in the West Bank. There is no Hamas in the West Bank. Not only just in West Bank, they're starting to go after the neighboring countries. So I think I took a screenshot. I don't know if Egypt is part of it, but I know, hang on, let me find it because I know it's still developing. They're starting to attack like refugee camps in the West Bank. Earlier today, I think they're going after is Lebanon, like one of the neighboring countries, and like Syria. So like they're sending, I think Syria is the one where their airport is being bombed again by the Israeli government. So again, this is what we mean. It's not just the Palestinian people. And now they're starting to attack neighboring Arabic countries.
It's like they've lost their mind. Like they're just going crazy. Like, okay, initially, you know that, because there are a few people that I followed on social media that I didn't know they were Jewish until this whole thing happened. And you know, the rhetoric that I've kept noticing is that everything and anything that evil that has happened to the Palestinian people is because of Hamas. They're like, oh, if Hamas did this or if Hamas didn't do this, the Palestinian people would not be suffering. And so, like,
do they know that Hamas wasn't created until the like 1980s? But
yeah.
Okay,
I don't think they knew. I don't know if they knew that, but
that's what I'm saying. They must not have, because they haven't been around that long, as long as the Palestinian people have been. Israel became a quote unquote. Israel became an occupation in 1948. Hamas wasn't created till 1980s.
Yeah.
So the Palestinian people have been going this, I mean, way before 1948, but as far as like the continuation of just pushing them out, way before Hamas was created.
By the way, so they had a place to go after World War II.
Yes.
Which let us rewind back just a little bit and notice the similarities between then and now.
Which also upsets me for a group of people. Not, again, I am not blaming everyone, but I'm talking about the ones higher up who have been through oppression to turn into the oppressors. Especially after they went to a place that welcomed them. Because let's also remember, again, I'm going to link videos. Palestine was not the first country they decided or they were debating on to send the Jewish people after World War II. The other ones was Madagascar, Uganda, Argentina, and I am missing one. But at first they were thinking, like South America. Then they were thinking in Africa. Again, I'm pretty sure a lot of things with like hating Black people and racism had to deal with them not going to Africa. But then they settled on Palestine, also due to being in the Middle East, the Ottoman Empire, and just, again, what this whole stupid thing is about, resources and like power and control for the Middle East.
Yeah.
And biblical things, but I just don't want to touch too much on religion as, again, someone who's not too educated on that. And then we just need to let people know this isn't a fight between religion. It's just a fight in
it's not
colonialism, trying to mask it as religion. So if you try to fight against it, people are quick to call you anti-Semitic and anti-Semite.
So the Jewish influencers that I've followed essentially blamed Hamas for everything, right? And so that had become like the norm, is just, blame Hamas for everything, and the Palestinian people would have been fine. But you see, what they're defining there is collective punishment.
Yes.
Collective punishment. So it's like, so you're okay with punishing a whole group of people for the actions of a few. Interesting.
Because even with the uprising that happened this weekend with everything, If you're trying to get hostages back, why are you also sacrificing the hostages from depleting where they are in Gaza, like the water, the electricity,
right,
the food? You're
right.
not only hurting the Palestinians, you're hurting the hostages that they took.
Mm-hmm.
So you can really tell this is like you're using them as a sacrifice.
But actually that is something a lot of them were like starting to be concerned about. If you noticed, is because like, how they started bombing all these random places because like, oh, they're like embedded in the civilian population. Well, where would the hostages be with them? So what are you accomplishing?
Right. If you're so worried about getting the hostages back, why are you potentially killing the hostages?
Yeah.
That's what I mean is like they don't want us to question. They don't want us to question this. Because when you start questioning, people wake up.
Exactly. What are your thoughts on celebrities weighing in on this or posting, I stand with,
This is the one time I wish celebrities would be quiet. I'm only speaking for Western celebrities because, again, I live in the West, especially in America. This is where when we say they're dumb, they are, or just not dumb, but they've really sold their souls for money. This is coming into place. They're being told things, to post things, to make sure they don't ruin like their status, their money, connections, whatever, even if they don't understand what's going on. And if they do start educating themselves, which I don't think they will, a lot of them will, or even care enough because they have enough money to not worry about that.
Yeah.
They're just going to keep doing what they're told. Yeah, it's just really disgusting. I mean, I know some of them are like Zionists, like Gal. I can never pronounce her last name because I think she actually used to work in the IDF. So
yeah.
And then because you had ones like Justin Bieber who would post pray for Israel over a picture of Gaza. And then when people were calling him out for it, delete it and just put in words, pray for Israel still, even though people were telling him like, hey, that picture is not even Israel. It's Gaza. It's the Gaza Strip. Or like Jamie Lynn Curtis. That's her name, right? I almost called her Jamie Lynn Spears. That's the wrong
I don't know who that is.
one.
So.
Who?
Curtis.
She's the woman. Have you ever seen like any of the Halloween? What's the one with the face? Is he Michael Myers or is that Jason? She's been in a lot. I'm sure you've seen some type of media she's been in. But anyway, post a picture. Also say pray for Israel when she's with a bunch of Palestinian children and then delete it, not knowing they're a Palestinian. Oh my God. I don't know if you heard this, but one thing also pissed me off with the fucking Kardashians. Kim and North, I guess, were doing a live and people started commenting the Palestinian flag. North asks, what flag is that? Kim told her that is the Brazilian flag. Now, I understand not wanting your child who is under the age of 11 to go online and see the horrific things being shared. I understand that. But we literally just went, not even a month ago, we even talked about this, of teachers saying the kids are not learning.
Yeah.
And you're going to miseducate your child even further. There is a way you can tell your child what is happening without showing them graphic things or really further explaining it. But then again, it's Kim. Like we've known a long time ago that whole family had sold their soul for fame and fortune. That pissed me off so badly. Like, don't do North like that. At least give this child a chance to be somewhat of a decent human being. You passed that a long time ago. But it's just like, you're further making your child dumber. And we already talk about how they're suppressing education here.
I think she'll be all right.
And that's the thing too. Like, that's why I'm like, I can't. It's not like I don't want to say I can't feel too bad, but it's like North is already set up in a position more than the rest of us where like they live in such a privileged environment. At the end of the day, like her and the rest of them will be fine. So it's just like.
But no, like when I saw Justin Bieber's post, I was like, what? Like I was so shocked. I'm like, man, I can't listen to this person's music anymore just because
I never liked Justin Bieber, and I will say that I don't care because every time I say that online, I always get some type of flack. I never cared for Justin Bieber. When he was going through his light skin era in 2013, that's what really truly turned me off. like we always said about the moral compass, I can acknowledge his talent, but there is just something in him that doesn't sit right with me. But I can still feel bad for him because understanding that he got into fame as a young child. And there's also things that come out now of like when you watch old videos of him and like interviews and stuff, he was just not protected around so many adults that also like sexualized him and things like that. So it's just like, it's just one of those things where it's like there's no black and white to it, but at the same time, I don't know what the word for it. I don't know the expression for what I'm saying, but you hopefully I'm making some type of sense in my rambling to try to find words. It's just, and it's also just dangerous in this new social media era, and the way of stan culture getting stronger is because they really don't care at the end of the day of doing their own resource. So if they do see this favorite celebrity on one side, a lot of them are going to blindly follow them.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, this whole like conflict, this whole genocide, like really has me messed up. Like, it's so funny because when this first came out and I just kept seeing video and post after post after post, like I didn't really say anything, but like my kids at school would be like, "Miss, you look sad." And I'm like, I look like, I mean, they saw it before I did, like how big of an effect, because like that would literally just be on my mind, like the pictures and everything. And like for the people who are there, like on the ground, trying to do like lives and things like that, kudos to you guys, because anyone that tries to like demonstrate or show what the reality is, they're quite literally putting their lives on the line. Them, their family, all of it.
I've been hearing how they would arrest Palestinians who are against it. They would arrest Israeli people who are pro-Palestinian.
It's like anybody that speaks up about it. It's like it really shows you the internal state of a person, honestly, like where you lie. And so, I don't know. And it doesn't help either. Like all of the big corporations here in the US, like they back this up. Actually, I saw a video the other day of like in McDonald's. You know how like this one Palestinian lady was going in to get like a chicken. What do they call it? I don't eat at McDonald's. She went in for like a chicken sandwich, right? Simone, guess what the wrapper was?
Did it say something about like pro-Israel?
No, it was the McDonald's logo in blue and white.
Fucking hate it here.
And she looked at it because she recorded this whole like interaction. She looked at it and she's like, "What is this?" She asked the guy, like cashier, "What is this?" She's like, "I know this is not you. You just work here." And then the cashier guy was like, "Oh, we've had this for a few months now," and things like that. She's like, "Do you realize what this is representing? Do you realize what it's for?" And he didn't want to say because, you know, he's like at work. It's so understandable. But the thing is, like, this boy straight out lied. Because he's like, "Oh, we've had it for months and we've actually run out of the original wrappers, which is why we're using this." She's like, "Okay." And so they brought his manager. And so she asked the manager, "So how long did you guys have these wrappers for?" And she's like, "When did they come in?" And the manager was like, "Oh, they came in like 2 weeks ago." "When did this all begin?" 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks-ish ago. And so she was like, "Oh, that's funny, because your other coworker just told me you guys had this for months." And so she's like, she explained how like as a Palestinian, it really upset her. Like, to this degree, why are you not using just regular wrappers? Like, yes, at the end of the day is a wrapper, but to show your stance that subtly or like that bravely it's crazy. She just went in there for food. That's for crying out loud. I was going to
mention this at the end because there are pages, again, that will link where Palestinians are asking us to boycott certain things. And I know sometimes when we're like, boycott don't work, but like we really need to try at this end. So like, at least for people in the West, they're asking us to boycott McDonald's, Starbucks, and Disney Plus, because Disney Plus had also donated about $2 billion or $2 million. I don't know. They donated money. That's the end of the day. Yeah. Money that needs to be used anywhere else besides helping a genocide. They're only asking Disney Plus, not Disney like subsidiaries. Again, I don't know how many people know how much Disney owns. They own Hulu, they own ABC, they own ESPN and ESPN Plus, they own Fox Entertainment. They own a lot. So I had like Disney Plus and Hulu as a bundle. I just got rid of the Disney Plus because they're only asking for Disney Plus right now. But if y'all need me to cancel my Hulu, I will gladly also cancel my Hulu. Like, I've stopped eating from McDonald's so long ago just for my own health. And I never cared about Starbucks anyway. I always thought they were trying to be fake, bougie, pretentious. So like, gladly. Okay.
Out,
and if my friend asks me to go to Starbucks, I'm like, girl, I'm sorry. I will take you anywhere else but Starbucks. You're going to have to walk if you really want a Starbucks drink that badly. Yeah. Like, no. So I was going to mention at the end, but those are the three companies, at least on the West, we can at least try to boycott: Starbucks, McDonald's, and Disney. And Nafis, again, you knew how much I've been talking about Disney for a while, which is also interesting just because, again, different times, but it's like, I watch Family Guy sometimes, and like, before they got bought out, because they run on Fox and, again, is owned by Disney. But just to let you know, they make jokes how much Walt Disney used to hate Jewish people. I am just saying, I'm sure he also hated Black people, but it's just very interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you know a little bit of that history, because I also came across a TikTok of whether or not Mickey Mouse is actually a caricature of Black people, and that changed my whole view of everything. What? Yeah, and he had some pretty good arguments of if Mickey Mouse, especially if you go back and watch really old like Mickey Mouse videos of like when he's dancing. It makes sense because, he's a mouse, but he's Black, and then like he wears white gloves. And if anyone's Black and know what white gloves represent, especially in Christianity with Black slaves, especially in the church, of reasons why they had to wear gloves and just like certain things he would do. I'm just like, I'm sure they took it down, so I don't even know if I can find the video anymore. But I'm like, I cannot believe Mickey Mouse may be a caricature of Black people. And it's stuff that I'm just finding out at the age of 26. Like, if you sit there and think about it, and if you go back and watch, like old time, like Steamboat Mickey, it would make sense. Especially when you see him do things like with like the jazz music and like him and Minnie. And it's just like, my God. That's what we and you were talking about, how racism and the white supremacy is just so embedded in like everything we do and everything we consume socially, economically.
Everything. It's everywhere.
And it's like, I don't know what to do to change it, but I'm at the point where I at least want to try.
The best thing we can do, honestly, is that we just keep talking about it. Like I was saying earlier, the Palestinian people, yes, they need aid. Yes, they need all of that. But more importantly, they just need us to keep this alive for them on the outside. Because there's very little that they can do from the inside. They're doing what they can. All they really ask is that we just continue educating ourselves and we just keep talking about it. Don't let their people, don't let their cause go to waste and become null and void. Yeah, so that's essentially what they're asking us to do. Although in recent news, I don't know if you've heard, they did send in some aid.
Only 20 trucks, and they've been there for a week.
20 trucks, that were on halt.
No, okay, hang on, because now that you brought that up, I just found out today, and they took that video down, because there is a girl whose mom is over in Palestine. Literally before I called you, she had made a video saying from those 20 trucks of aid, and I really hope I misheard her. She was saying how they're trying to sell the aid to them in Gaza. Like a bag of flour that's usually like 20 USD converted. They were trying to sell it for about $100 and whatever their currency is. So I'm like, now don't tell me they only held back this aid donating for exactly, because she was saying be careful where you donated, because I had also donated, but I think this place I donated was actually an on-the-ground Palestinian organization that's been around for a while. But she's like, just please be careful where you're donating, because her mom was telling her they were trying to actually sell the aid. So I don't know where the aid is now. That's why I'm trying to keep up when I get off with you, and hopefully more will come out. But it's just like, now you guys trying to profit?
Who would be profiting though? Who's selling this?
That's a great question. I don't know. That's why I said I need to do more research and information. I'm just going to say, I think the UN. And who is the leader of the UN?
Which is what I wanted to ask you. I don't understand the point of that whole entity. How are you going to continuously, over years and years and years, call what they do, oh, hate crime, war crime, whatever, and then not hold them accountable?
And UN people that are over in Gaza helping out have also died. So it's like you have your own employees dying, yet you haven't done anything about it.
Yeah.
But like I said, who's in charge of the UN? It's the same country that keeps vetoing of a ceasefire.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't have school Friday. Do you work Friday?
I work every day, which is also just like dystopian, just because last week, like, and I love my coworker. I think I said it on here before because she's another like older Black woman. So like, I'm just happy I work in an environment now, especially my coworkers, that is predominantly Black. It's been helping me a lot. Mm-hmm. But this is part of the dystopian that's happening where like I go to work, again, have to answer phone calls of people trying to like just get medication or see their own doctors. And just like sometimes if things come up with their insurance happen. Mm-hmm. But like I would talk to her, love talking to her. But just as she's telling me about like how her grandchildren just did, school picture day, or just like how her day went of just like she rested, she did all sorts of errands and this and that. I'm just sitting there trying to make sure it doesn't show on my face. I'm like, I don't want to be rude and cut her off, but it's like, I just can't even try to get myself out of my own head to listen to her mundane life, because I'm thinking about the people over in Palestinian who could just wish to just have a normal mundane life like this. Like, even when I think back on the days where he would make fun of me, be like, it's a Friday night, and instead of like going out partying, even though I think that's a dead rhetoric anyway, you're like in bed by like 8 o'clock on a Friday. And like with everything happening, I'm just like, even that itself is a privilege. My boring everyday life is a privilege. And it's like, I want to acknowledge that, and I don't want to take away from that, but it's like, just me being able to go to sleep at night is a privilege compared to the people over in Palestine who don't even know if they'll wake up the next day from the bombings, who are just on high alert in case they need to evacuate. But again, evacuate where? Because they're blocking all of escape routes, bomb the one to Egypt.
They're telling them leave, and then they're bombing the escape route. Which, by the way,
as blocking aid. So it's like,
I knew that would happen when they told them you have 24 hours to leave.
Like 24 hours? How is that enough time?
1.1 million people. I'm surprised there wasn't a stampede. You know,
and even think about the people who didn't leave because that's their homes, or just can't because of disabilities.
Yeah, I know.
My God.
Speaking of disabilities, like I guess, let me word this correctly. I think what I'm really kind of confused about, I'm not confused, but I'm also a bit upset about this, is like people who are like, COVID, this and that. Where are you? We had the medical community. Let me just put it like that. The medical community, where are you? Like a whole hospital was just bombed, right? In any type of war, in any type of crisis, there are certain things that are just, you're not supposed to touch. One of those places are like hospitals are an important place, right? Those are supposed to be a safe haven for people. But since this is being bombed, it's just radio silence on their part. Like no one's saying anything.
Again, I just truly believe that's part of the suppression and them just not probably being afraid so they don't like get stuff like their license revoked or like lose their jobs.
Why would you get your license revoked though? I mean, there's probably some intricate things going on there, but
no, because there's been things coming out like with Harvard students. They had signed a letter of how they're against this, and like they're saying they're trying to get the names of the Harvard students so they like won't let them graduate. People have been coming out saying they've been losing their jobs if they're saying they're pro-Palestine, even if they're saying it on their own personal social media. So no, it's happening. And back to the celebrity thing, I'm pretty sure that's why a lot of them are not saying anything against pro-Palestine, even though some are, and like the singer Kalani has been doing the work. There's been other celebrities coming out.
She has gained so much respect because she did a whole...
I'm about to start listening to her music because she's been doing the work, okay? And she is not afraid of the repercussion. Or even like Bella Hadid, who has been talking about this actually for years, if we want to think about it, and like putting her career at risk. And she is part Palestinian, her and Gigi. I know her sister tried to stay neutral, but still. And also, like, with TikTok, a girl had came out and said they're sending emails to influencers to, like, cut off, because, you know, like we just talked about the brands that are behind it.
Yeah.
Saying, you know, don't talk about pro-Palestinian, or we'll pay you this amount of money if you say you're pro-Israel. And, like, if they refuse, they're just going to cut off the brand deal. So, yes, I would not be surprised if the doctors here, especially the way the country, and we see what side our government is on, that they're not able to either go over there or just say something due to losing things like their jobs and licenses, as sad as that is.
Not the license, though. That's crazy.
No, I 100% believe it. Like, I'm not even trying to say that to be joking. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, no, like, I guess from that Western point, that makes sense, actually. Because it would be doing more harm than good if they were to lose their license, because, like, that's what they're there for. But also in another, speaking of celebrities, actually, which is even more disappointing, because you know how we did like a Bollywood movie or two. People on this side are not talking about it at all. Actually, if anything, freaking India is like on the side of Israel. I'm just like,
I saw that,
God.
but I'm not Indian, and I know you are, so I didn't know if you wanted to bring that up. I didn't know if you wanted to show your opinion. Like, I saw that.
I am so ashamed. Like, what is this?
I did see that.
You know the world is effed up when a cricket match is political. Why? A cricket match is sports. Sports should stay in sports.
That's like here with football when they...
Why are we out here?
But that's like with football when they gave a silence in pro-Israel, yet
right.
you were...
Why?
You were, like, firing football players when they were trying to kneel against police brutality and Black Lives Matter. Like, y'all owe Colin Kaepernick an apology.
That's what I'm telling you. Like, it's just so... it's so irritating.
That's what I mean. Like, it really is, even though we're trying not to get political, even though I think we have a little bit, like, it's so ingrained in the politics that, like, we have to understand our politics better to really unravel what's happening.
Yeah. I agree.
It's not that easy as people are trying to make it out to be.
No.
The only thing that we can all come in the ones that have critical thinking that can come in agreement to that this is genocide that's happening. But why we're not stopping it is where all the arguments are coming into. But again, like we just said, it deals with racism, colonialism, white supremacy, you name it.
Anything that's applicable is applicable, really.
Like, even us just talking about this, we are also putting ourselves at, I won't say a big risk, but, you know, risks of it being suppressed. I know we always used to joke about, like, how we wanted to grow this podcast in case we get, like, some sponsors. And, like, I don't even care anymore at this point. I'd rather keep doing this for free to be able to talk how we talk than be behind any, like, big corporation or whatever.
Yeah.
My only worry is just to make sure this gets out so people can go to the links that we are going to provide to continue helping in any way that we can. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about the aid anymore and the donations after what I just told you, but at least still spreading the word so the Palestinians' voices do not be lost.
Yeah. At this point, at least on October 22nd, 2023. But if there's anything, though, at least we now know that, I don't even know if you can even say that, the world is not as blind to their struggle as they were a few years ago, you know, because it's in their face now. You have to see it. They don't have the luxury of taking a mental health day, you know, we do.
That's another thing about, we just really can't stop talking about this, even if they do listen to us and do a ceasefire. Like, we have to also think about what that means with the ceasefire. I told Nafis this before we started recording. I do not want this to end up like with Black Lives Matter, to where nothing happened, okay? And I think I said that on this podcast before. Nothing actually changed from all of that. The only thing that changed was, like, the guy who killed George Floyd, was arrested, but even that took a very long time. And then after that, people just got quiet and back to complacent, and things are back to the way it was. Same thing with COVID. Even though we went through lockdown, we were so quick to open back up and get back to quote unquote normal life that we're still dealing with COVID. They just put out a new vaccine. We had allowed it to rapidly change and affect and mutate so far 3 years into the pandemic that, like, I feel like at this point, this is going to be just another flu shot. So are we even ever going to really get rid of it? Like, we can't stop once a ceasefire happens, because we also have to think, with them being deprived of the water, of the limited electricity, of
which is
dealing with the bombings.
U.N.R.W.A.
Yeah, dealing with the bombings and like having to be in the rubble, like, even if they're still there, they're still going to have to try to recover mentally from dealing with all that. The children are going to be infected, having to deal with that mentally. Their physical health is already in jeopardy, and it's going to be more in jeopardy, consuming all the toxicities in the air from the dust.
How did we not discuss this? The white phosphorus when they drop the bombs.
Which apparently is a international war crime.
Yes, chemical warfare, crazy. And they started off with that, by the way. They have
to deal with that, and they're probably going to have to deal with defects,
long-term consequences.
Future.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, I'm just praying we don't stop talking about this, even when. I'm just hoping for at least a ceasefire. That's the start, but we can't stop there. That's what I'm really trying to get at.
Yeah,
because I'm just gonna get as sad as I was for Black Lives Matter if I see all of our efforts go to waste. Like, I think it's gonna break me in a point where I haven't been broken yet, but I don't know. I just don't know. I
have not cried. I don't think in my full 30 years of living, I think I've cried more in the past 2 weeks than I've had my whole entire life.
I was trying to stop myself before I even called you to record you, like before I came down to the area that I record, because, like, again, it's just not really the time for that. But it's just hard. Like, we're people.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still people at the end of the day, just trying to help other people, because we actually do have some type of empathy.
I agree.
Was there anything else in your notes, or should we start wrapping it up here?
No, I think we can wrap it up here.
Okay.
And then, I mean, if anything, we'll just continue with, like, some updates and stuff as things go on, you know?
You have any closing words, thoughts?
Just, guys, please make sure to keep your eyes open. Make sure, you know, like I said before, keep an open mind. Please educate yourself. And then just keep talking about it, because that's essentially what they're asking for. But yeah.
Okay. I'm going to try to do this without crying. Damn.
You're okay.
I just want to say, for any of the Palestinian people who have a chance to listen to this, or if we have any listeners, like, even just me saying I'm sorry, I cannot express how devastated I am. It took us this long to hear you guys. I am so sorry y'all have been suffering for this long, but we hear you now. There are so many of us trying to help you, and not even just the Palestinian people, but other people that are going through some type of oppression. Like, we will make sure we do whatever we can to help you guys. That goes for in this world, that goes for here in America, for all my Black people and people of color. Like, we hear you guys now. We see you guys. Like, we are trying our best to help you. I know that may not sound enough. I'm not, again, trying to sound like deprecating in any way or lose hope, but, like, we just see you guys, okay? And we're going to try our absolute best to help you guys.
Exactly.
We're going to do whatever we can to make sure you get your homes back, to get your land back so you can see your families, so these children do not have to worry about if they're going to make it another day, because they should be able to play with their friends. They should be able to worry about their schoolwork, crushes, their dreams. We will make sure you guys get that life that every human being deserves. So, and also just, like, proud is like an understatement of like how strong you guys have been. And I hate using the word strong, especially as a Black woman, because that's been used as like a double-edged sword for us the longest time to like make us seem like we don't have any type of emotions or like we're robots or we don't feel any type of pain. But like just the fact that y'all have not given up in the past 75 years, especially the children who were born into this and continue to fight for your people. Like, proud is an understatement of how I feel about you guys to continuously use your voice in whatever way that you can in the face of like facing oppression or being killed off or just whatever, jail time, to let the world know what is happening to your people. And again, I'm just so sorry it took us to the year 2023 to really hear you guys. But we do, okay? So we're going to do what we can to help you. And we're going to make sure we don't stop hearing you even after the worst of the worst, okay? Sorry. I said I was trying not to cry.
It's all good. I mean, that just shows how concerned you are and how much you feel for them. So if anything, it shows that, yeah.
Anything else you want to say before I try to collect myself? Because I need to put more information in here.
But yeah, like you were saying, Simone, I just wanted to add that we are proud of being on the right side of history. We're proud of our Palestinian brothers and sisters who are doing what they can for everyone who's helping them, whether you're on the ground, or whether you're spreading awareness through social media, or whether you're, calling in to your local officials to express how you feel about the situation. Like, all of that is not going unnoticed. So thank you for doing all of that, and thank you for making your voices heard. All of this helps in the global scale, in a large way. So everyone that's speaking up, your voices are being heard loud and clear.
Everyone that's going to protest. I have no hope for this Republican state, Florida, to do any type of those things. Every city or state that I see about like protests happening, I don't even see Florida listed. So again, that's why I'm mostly just trying to do what I can online as far as reposting, sharing, all that. Like we said, I'm going to put people you can follow in the links for resources, links for books that you can read. I've also been trying to read more. So just personal recommendations of books I've been reading. I'm not sure what else, but I mean, if you guys know of anything else, just,
let us know.
Yeah, be greatly appreciated. Be careful of where you donate. Just make sure it's people that are on the ground and not big corporations. Because I've been hearing for the longest time, at least like the Red Cross, even here in the States, are not a good place to really donate because they don't really do what they say they're going to do, or there's just something with them that's not truly reliable. Can't speak much on the UN, but yeah, I think it's just better to try to get donations out to the people that are on the ground, even though, again, they're trying to block it, but like it is there for them.
Mm-hmm. As far as organizations, make sure you're looking for people that are actively on the, like you said, that are mentioning that they're on the ground, and people that can back up what they're saying. So, for example, they may be able to provide a picture or a video of the money you donated being put to good use. So
or even just local places as well. Like, or if you even know someone personally who is like Palestinian and they have family over there. Because that's another thing too that we didn't bring up. I'll just mention real quick that you can tell all of everything they're saying is bullshit, because there's also, like, I've reposted a video of a little girl. I think she can't be any more than 12. She's British Palestinian, but she had went to Gaza before everything happened to visit her family, and she is stuck there. So it's like, we're not even considering the Palestinians who already have a hard time seeing their families over there because it's so heavily militarized and policed in not only the Gaza Strip, but just like in the West Bank. So look after, if you know someone also personally, just make sure you reach out to them as well.
Yeah,
and check up on them.
Or just anyone who's basically identifying with the cause. Because it's very heavy, just the thought and just going through social media all the time and just seeing what you see. But just a word of reminder for the Palestinian people and the people who have been suffering or under oppression. Just know that God is with you and that his timing is the best timing. So if you ever do feel like you're frustrated or anything, whoever you believe to be your God, just know that he's there with you and that prayers go a long way.
Yeah. I guess we can just end it from what everyone's saying, from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free.
Yep.
All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.